Ancient Rome did not fall because it was weak. It fell because its systems could no longer adapt fast enough. Most people imagine Rome as a city of marble, soldiers, and emperors. But Rome was something far more advanced than its ruins suggest. It was a living system, a machine built to control territory, resources, people, and time. Rome created laws that scaled across continents. It built roads that still define Europe's geography today. It managed information, logistics, and power without electricity, without computers, without algorithms. Now imagine this question. What if Rome never collapsed? Not in the fantasy sense, not with magic or gods intervening, but through one simple change. Rome learns how to upgrade itself. What if its systems evolved the way technology evolves today? What if Roman engineering met artificial intelligence? What if Roman governance became data-driven? What if the empire learned to predict crises instead of reacting to them? In this video, we are not rewriting history, we are extending it. We will imagine a version of Rome that survives the centuries, a civilization that enters the digital age without ever losing its imperial core. A Rome that reaches the year 2300, not as a memory, but as a living power. This is not a story about domination, it is a story about systems. Because the real question is not whether Rome could survive. The real question is whether our modern world is already becoming Roman. Let us return to the beginning. To understand Rome's future, we must first understand why it worked so well. Rome's greatest invention was standardization. Every road followed a system. Every law followed a structure. Every city, no matter how far from Rome, mirrored the capital itself. This is how Rome scaled. It treated territory like data. It divided land into provinces, cities into grids, people into categories. Citizens, non-citizens, allies, enemies, all defined, tracked, and managed. Roman roads were not just paths. They were information channels. Orders, resources, soldiers, everything moved faster because the system allowed it. And then there was law. Roman law was modular. Local rules could exist, but imperial law overrode everything when necessary. This flexibility allowed Rome to rule diverse cultures without destroying them. Now imagine if Rome had access to predictive intelligence. Imagine census data not collected by hand, but processed instantly. Imagine taxation optimized in real time. Imagine supply chains that adjusted before shortages occurred. Rome already thought this way, just slowly. The Senate debated trends. Governors sent reports. Emperors reacted. But reaction is not prediction. The Roman Empire did not fail because it lacked intelligence. It failed because intelligence traveled too slowly. This is where the timeline splits. In our alternate history, Rome begins to automate decision-making. Not with computers, but with early algorithms, patterns, probabilities, models of human behavior. Centuries later, this mindset evolves naturally into artificial intelligence. Rome does not invent AI by accident. It invents it because control requires foresight, and foresight becomes the empire's most valuable resource. By the 22nd century, Rome is no longer defined by stone. Its cities rise vertically, layered with infrastructure invisible to the eye. Ancient forums become data centers. Aqueducts evolve into energy arteries. The city still looks Roman: symmetry, order, monumentality. But beneath the surface, everything is calculated. Artificial intelligence governs traffic, water, food, and population flow. Every citizen has a civic profile, not for surveillance but for efficiency. Healthcare, education, labor, optimized to maintain stability. Rome does not eliminate freedom. It manages it. The Roman economy no longer relies on conquest. It relies on prediction. Markets anticipate shortages before they exist. Automation replaces slaves, not with moral awakening, but with logic. Human labor becomes strategic, not expendable. Power is no longer held by emperors alone. It is distributed across systems. The Senate still exists, but its debates are guided by simulations. Every decision is tested against thousands of possible futures. Rome does not ask, "What do we want?" It asks, "What survives?" This is the difference between ideology and empire. Borders still exist, but they are economic, not military. Rome absorbs regions by integrating their systems. Resistance becomes irrational when prosperity is guaranteed. And yet, something ancient remains. Symbols, rituals, identity. Rome understands something modern states often forget. People obey systems they believe in. So the empire preserves its myths, not because they are true, but because they are necessary.
In the year 2300, Rome is no longer a place. It is a network. Cities across the planet and beyond it follow Roman protocols. Mars colonies use Roman governance models. Orbital stations are administered like provinces. Latin is no longer spoken daily, but its logic remains. Language evolves, systems do not. Architecture blends the ancient and the impossible. Columns made of smart materials, domes that regulate climate, public spaces designed not for beauty alone, but for psychological balance. The empire has learned to manage not just resources, but humans. Mental health is treated as infrastructure. Social unrest is predicted decades in advance. Crime becomes statistically irrelevant. This is not utopia, it is optimization. Some call it tyranny, others call it peace. Rome does not respond, because Rome no longer needs justification. It exists because it works. But there is a cost. Creativity slows, chaos disappears, history becomes stable, and stability kills surprise. Rome has achieved what no civilization ever has, and now it faces a new question. Not how to survive, but whether survival was the goal all along.
Rome fell once because it could not adapt. In this future, Rome survives because it adapts too well. The empire becomes eternal, but eternity is heavy. Without collapse, there is no rebirth. Without chaos, there is no revolution. Without failure, there is no reinvention. Perhaps Rome was never meant to last forever. Perhaps civilizations need to fall, so humanity can remember how to change. Or perhaps we are already building Rome again. Data replaces law. Algorithms replace debate. Efficiency replaces meaning. We tell ourselves this is progress. The Romans would agree. They believed civilization was order imposed on chaos, and order, once perfected, has no reason to stop. So the question is not whether Rome could reach the future. The question is whether the future wants Rome. Because somewhere beneath our technology, beneath our systems, beneath our predictions, the empire is quietly returning. Not with legions, but with logic.
What will it show us this time?
Look, it is Mars. He looks magnificent.